Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Super Tuesday on the Educational AD podcast. As always, we're going to give our sponsors a shout out, so don't hit that fast forward button. These are companies that I used as an AD, and I highly recommend that you use them as well. So take the next 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our Super Tuesday segment, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to Gipper for their support of the podcast. Go to Gipper.com. Their team is going to show you how to create world-class marketing content to celebrate your athletes and promote your teams on social media. Gipper's used and trusted by over 4,000 high schools and colleges. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to Gipper.com to get started. We also want to say thanks to our good friends at Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform you're going to use every single day for things like scheduling, uploading rosters and scores, student athlete eligibility and clearance. Who doesn't do that every day? Home Campus is going to do all these things better and faster. It's going to give you a lot more time back in your schedule. To get started, all you have to do is go to homecampus.com. That's it, homecampus.com. We'd like to thank Ohio University's online master's program in athletic administration. This affordable 20-month, totally online program not only allows you to earn your master's degree, but you'll also complete 11 NIAAA leadership training courses that can go towards your RAA or your CAA. To get started, just go to ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Masters. We want to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com. It's digital ticketing that offers more. We want to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their score boards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made. Go to sidelineinteractive.com for more information. We also want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And Huddle provided a platform that all of our coaches, not just football, but all our coaches just loved. Our athletes loved it. Our parents loved it. You're going to love it too. Join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thank you to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the sports, or your school's Hall of Fame, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Take a look at their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's also a great way to showcase your school's unique history and your proudest moments. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. We'd also like to say thanks to Snap Raise, hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school with tremendous success. Our coaches loved it. Our parents loved it because it works. Go to snapraise.com. Find out how Snap Raise can help support your program today. And we want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your players, your coaches, your parents, you're really missing out. Athletic directors already hear back from the complainers, the people that want to gripe about everything, but that's only a small percentage. Athletic surveys will connect you to that group, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% that support your program. And that information is tremendously valuable, especially when you're meeting with a frustrated parent or maybe your principal or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create that survey that lets you take your athletic program from good to great. Welcome back, everyone, to another segment of Super Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast. Our guest today is Asia Mape. Regular listeners of the podcast are going to recognize that name. But if you're new, Asia was a outstanding high school and college athlete, had a long, successful career as a sports producer for NBC, other outlets. I should probably add multiple Emmy winning producer. And now she is the co-founder and content creator for a tremendous resource called I Love to Watch You Play. We're going to give out that website and contact information later on. But Asia provides resources for parents, for even student athletes, for coaches and athletic directors on how to provide student athletes, whether it's their own kid or kids that they coach, the best sports experience. So Asia Mape, welcome back to Super Tuesday.
Thank you for having me, Jake.
Well, you and I were talking. There's just so many things going on right now. It's we're recording this, on the eve of summer, but I'm going to get out of your way here in a minute. What do you have for our listeners today on Super Tuesday?
Yeah, today I wanted to talk about the stress that goes into some of these big decisions. I think that, I know I can remember back when my daughter was trying out for, the next level soccer team. And this is my daughter who doesn't even play soccer anymore. And where players are going to get placed and how the tryouts are going to go and what's going to happen. I had someone reach out and we had a session the other day and talked about this. And I just think it's so important to know that you're not the only one who feels this way. He was feeling very overwhelmed by the process. He was feeling himself getting lost in, the gossip, the talk of what was going to happen, the hype of it. I think actually the biggest issue is how big it felt. And she was 11, right? And at 11, I don't know, Jake, if you can remember back at that age, but especially when it's your oldest child and you haven't gone through it, it feels like if she doesn't make this top team, she's never going to make it, and we get so crazy around these feelings. And I remember at like almost the same age, it might have even been younger, like 9 or 10, literally calling my friend who was the head coach at UCLA women's soccer at that time and asking her like advice because I was so caught up in this tryout process. And I felt the same thing like my daughter, like the dad I spoke to, what was like on that bubble and might not make it. And I was literally, you're losing yourself. You're losing, you have like a break with reality and what really matters. And I think, first off, I just want sports parents to know that I think it's a common feeling. I think that especially when you haven't gone through it, your body is secreting chemicals through these things. You're watching them. There's more at play here than just like you're a parent who has lost their way, right? There's all kinds of things that line up to make the child sporting journey really feel overwhelming. And so know that you're not alone. Know that a lot of us have gone through it, and know that there's things that you can do. But most importantly, know that you don't have a lot of control over this journey. And so the more you can step back and allow them the space and the process and allow them their lows and their highs, because that's where the gifts come in. It's all when they don't make that team, how are they going to respond? Are they going to fight back? Are they going to, if they don't and they don't care that much, then that's something they needed to learn about themselves. And so I think as parents, we're always trying to control all these situations, and we let ourselves get so caught up in it. And we feel like making one team or not, because that's kind of the bag of goods we've been sold too. If you're not on this team, and it is a bag of goods in a way, but there's also like, it is hard once you see the kids that are kind of on that trajectory. It's hard to jump from that other side. So I also want to say, like, it's not just parents, making this stuff up. It's actually there is reason why we feel that. But what I'm here to say is that it's okay. And what's meant to be is going to happen. And they will find their way if they're meant to be part of, that team and that path that is headed if your kid wants to play in college. And that's the key. If your kid wants to play, and if your kid wants to play, and even in high school, and if your kid wants it, that's the key. It's their journey. But here are a few things that it's that scarcity mindset that we're always talking about. There's not enough to go around. We get so caught up in it. She's never going to make it. That fear, that scarcity. But here's a few tips, and then we'll leave it at that, of what parents can do when they are caught up in one of these parenting moments. So here's three questions. Is it age appropriate? Before the age of 13, prior to puberty, fun and multi-movement should be the focus. Kids should play and practice no more than a week in a week than their age. Kids should be sampling many sports, following sports seasons. They shouldn't become these multi-simultaneous athletes trying to play all these different sports at once. So is it age appropriate? That's the first question to ask yourself. Number two, is it what my child wants? Or step towards their goal, not mine or a coach's or anyone else's, because this will change often. So communicate regularly with your child about what they want. My daughter originally had the goal of playing in the Olympics, and a college athlete she wanted to be, and she didn't end up doing any of those. But we didn't have enough of those conversations along the way. She didn't want to disappoint me when her goals changed. So we have to make these conversations a regular part of the journey and be open-minded and not be upset if their decisions don't match what we want for them. And don't match if they're a great athlete. I think that was part of our problem, is you see, wow, they could do this, but so what? Like, if their heart isn't in it, who cares if they could do it? She wanted to do art, and that's where she got her joy and her peace and her love from, in my daughter's case. Does it make, the last one is, does it make sense for your family, for the value system your family upholds? And just because other teammates are doing two-week sleepaway camps doesn't mean your child has to. Don't be afraid to talk about priorities, budgeting with your child. It's good for them to know that you aren't willing to throw out your family vacation down the drain just so they can go to a 2-week camp. So make decisions around what your core family values are. It might be spending time with grandparents or being out in nature or whatever, but like, know what your family values and then make decisions, have agency around that. Make sure your child, this is the last thing I'm going to leave it on, make sure your child knows they are more important than anything that they do. And that's the key to all of it, really. So that's all I really got for you today, Jake.
Well, again, some great tips for anybody, parents, coaches, or ADs. We like to think, you and I, we're athletes, we're, professionals in this arena. We like to think that we have all the answers. You've been very candid in your, on your website and in your writings about, maybe a misstep that you did from a parenting perspective, with your daughter. And again, it all turned out great, but, I look back at my time with our 3 kids, and I think there were a number of times where it was, maybe dad pushing, this particular issue as opposed to them. And they all, had great high school experiences. They all 3 competed at the college level, but still, you look back and you say, that probably wasn't my best moment as a dad.
Yeah, for sure. And I know I do talk to the parents a lot, but I'm guessing most of the ADs are parents, or one day might be. And also understanding that parent mindset, I think, is so important, because we're partners. ADs, coaches, and parents, we're all partners. So even if this information is going to someone who doesn't have their own kids and they're an AD at a school, if you can understand that this is kind of how we're feeling and this is the stress and the pressure, then you can kind of talk their language and kind of help them through it, and you can understand us better, because we really all do need to be on the same page. And that page is that we want what's best for these kids.
No, absolutely. That's the mission. And we're very fond of saying, well, it's for the kids, or, we're going to base our decision on what's best for the kids. Well, make sure that, you're not just talking that talk, make sure you're walking the walk for the kids in your
Yeah.
program as an AD, and as parents for your own kids as well. Okay. Very,
Yep.
Great stuff, as always. Asia, we talked about the website. I'd love to watch you play. How can our listeners get there? And if they want to reach out and pick your brain, and listeners, you got a tremendous resource here. What's the best way they can get hold of Asia Mape?
Yep. Asia at ilovetowatchyouplay.com, written all out. I love hearing from people. Definitely send me an email. Of course, Facebook, I love to watch you play, written out. Instagram, the I love to watch you play, and the website, as you said, and there's a newsletter. Usually if you click on an article on the website, or there's a button on there for the newsletter, subscribe to the newsletter, and you'll get sort of the best of the week sent to your inbox every week.
Yeah. And again, athletic directors, great stuff that you can share with your coaches. You can also share with the parents at your school. It's going to make you sound a lot smarter than you might actually be. I know that's the case in my case. But Asia, thanks again for sharing. All the best moving forward. And thanks again for being a part of Super Tuesday.
Thanks for having me.
We'll definitely have you back. For our listeners, we want to say thanks to you. And just a reminder that we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every week and share best practices just about every day. And we hope you come back to the next episode on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. And as always, we want to give one more shout out to our sponsors. I want to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. I want to thank Snap Raise fundraiser, Vital Signs Wall of Fame, the Ohio University Online Masters Program, Huddle. We want to say thanks to Gipper, Home Campus, Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack, and Sideline Interactive Indoor Score Tables. Please visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to love them. And thanks again for listening to the Educational AD Podcast.